Yes, I'm here to present you the first results of the Coworking survey, which has started around 3 weeks ago. And actually, I mean, the Coworking survey is about people who apply to some more or less interesting questions. And but usually I'm asked for the number of co-working spaces worldwide, and the counting is not a part of the survey. The counting also takes usually a little bit more time because every time a new co-working space pops up or close, you need you need to count each single space, and then every time you also need to start from the beginning. But with the survey, it's possible to see, there are some questions about the opening times. There's a possibility to see when they have opened, and within the last 12 months, so within the last year, there has been a growth rate of 36%. I still often hear that some media reports a growth rate of 100% or 120 or whatever. Don't panic, 36 is still quite good. It's actually much more than other industries have usually. What another impact of this development is that the average co-working space also becomes more mature, not only in terms of that they become probably more professional, also they are now a bit older, so an average co-working space now is almost 33 months old. 2 years ago it was 22 months. What we also can see that the number of members who work at a co-working space is increasing a lot. It's like now 30% more than 2 years ago. I cannot really say the exact number because the survey is still running. But last time you had more than 52 members. You had 52 members per space. So if you just add 30%, you can make your own conclusion. The biggest co-working spaces, according to the Coworking survey, can be found now in Asia, and the smallest one in Africa. But what kind of impact does it have when you have more members working at a space? I mean, would the people feel less safe, or would they think that the belongings are less safe? Is it becoming more anonymous within a co-working space? And actually, I expected such a trend, and when I took a look at the stats, I actually couldn't find it, so I have been proven wrong. So now you have, when you take a look at the question, how strongly members feel that they are part of their own co-working community, you can see now it's almost 70%, which feel very strongly or strongly part of the co-working community, which is much, I mean, like more than last time. People still would leave their mobile phone unattended without fear of theft, which is an indicator for trust, at least the trust that the smartphone won't be taken away from someone else. Although, I mean, most of the people, I think, they wouldn't use their smartphone for more than 10 minutes anyway, but that's a theoretical question. It's also very surprising that now we have even more people. I mean, there was one question in the survey: what do you think, how many people in the co-working space know your first name? And when you have more people, you think they would say there are less people now who know my first name. It's the opposite. Now, like 2/3 say like almost everyone or everyone knows my first name, which is quite surprising. We also have asked, but I have asked, what do the people expect in a co-working space when they work there? And the majority of people expect actually just casual small talk, which they cannot have, and you're just working from home, sharing knowledge, and especially enjoying other company. That hasn't changed so much. What has changed is more the way how the people work. So lately there are more and more co-working spaces which have introduced private offices and team offices to offer a wider selection of workplaces. And I also hear so like, oh, the private offices, oh, they're all sold out, they're all booked out, but the workspace, you still can work at our open workspace. I mean, the survey shows that there's an increasing share of team offices and individual offices compared to the results uh, 2 years ago. But as you also can see, that 78% of the people still work at the open workspace, and the open workspace is still, and hopefully it will be also in the future, the core part of a co-working space. Without an open workspace, you don't need to call it a co-working space anymore. What also has changed is that less people work on their own. I think it's an indicator that you have more employees working from a co-working space. Um, this is probably also the reason why you have more people showing up each day. Like 73% of people, of members of a co-working space now work at a co-working space at least 3 times a week or more often, and 44% come actually every day. Um, Now you have also more people who just come for a limited number of days, so they just use the opportunity to be part of a co-working community, to attend some events or to get some work done at least once or twice a month. Um, yeah, this also has an impact on the rating, on how the people rate the co-working space. Um, as you can see, compared to the years before, it's the members gave the co-working spaces a rating of 8.4 stars out of 10. It's more than 2 years ago and almost the same level we had 4 years ago. So it's actually a good sign. I actually also have expected it would decrease a little. And for the same reason, there are also more people who don't think about planning to leave a co-working space in the future, at least not within the next year. So, talking about the co-working operators, I mean, why have people started a co-working space? So, I mean, most of the people obviously don't expect that by operating a co-working space they earn so much money so that they can afford a bath with milk and honey each morning after breakfast. But most of the people, they just started a co-working space because they like to be connected with other people. So actually, they have the same needs, which also are the needs of the members. They like the co-working movement, and they also like to improve the work life of other people. And as you can see on the other side, the majority of operators still undertake other jobs. So they just combine their job with operating a co-working space. And by sharing the space, I mean, they can get out more, can leave this isolated work atmosphere. But what you also can see now, they have more full-time co-working space operators. That's the wrong word. Like almost every third. Um, we also, when you have more and more co-working spaces, you probably would also ask them, do you have more co-working spaces which think they're not competing with other spaces? And that's actually also a good question for the next part of the survey. Here we have asked people, do you think, I mean, how would you rate the number of co-working spaces in your region compared to the demand, which you also know? And almost 60% say like the number of co-working space in my region is actually quite okay. 27% say it could be more, and only 14% say, oh, there are already too many co-working space out there. Although, I mean, this result can strongly differ from region to region. There's also always a question about profit, profitability of co-working space. And the survey, this is still running, so I cannot present the results. But what people even like, what people like, as well as to talk about other co-working spaces. There's been a question about what do you think about your own local market? How comfortable do you think are other co-working spaces in your region? Compared to the years before, you can see it's a bit more extreme. So you have more operators which think a third of the co-working spaces struggle a lot. You have more co-working spaces which are more profitable. Um, and Yes, this is compared to the years before. And I mean, this will be interesting to see or to analyze the results when you group these results into, or if you divide them by the age of co-working spaces. Yeah, you probably have read an article about the impact of co-working spaces when it's about reviving neighborhoods or abandoned buildings and how they do it. And here are also some stats which prove that co-working spaces, or many co-working spaces, start at buildings which have been abandoned or have been vacant for a longer time. Here, like 50% move to spaces which have been vacant for at least 6 months. At least means at least. I also have been to spaces which said, yeah, there was nothing here for the last 20 years, or for the last 10 years. You also can see that like every fifth co-working space is located or situated in an industrial building, and like almost 42% of co-working spaces are located in buildings which are older than 50 years. Well, when talking about the buildings, I also have been also some more questions about lease terms lately, because there are more and more co-working spaces which close because they cannot afford a new lease term because the rental price has increased a lot. So like 80% of the co-working space lease at the location, they don't buy it. And the average lease term is 54 months, and like 12% of the co-working spaces have to restart the negotiation within the next 12 months, so I have to move to another location. And so far in the past, like every 1 in 4 co-working spaces already has changed the location in the past. Talking about the forecast is actually a part of the co-working survey, which, I mean, the results, they don't differ so much year from year, but it's nice to leave you with some more optimistic, with some optimistic figures. So as you can see, there are like 61% of the co-working spaces plan some expansion next year, mainly by building another co-working space in a new location, but also with extensions with more desk space in their own, in their current location. And when talking about expectations of co-working spaces, as you can see here, I mean, almost 80% of the co-working spaces expect to get more members and only 2% less. The same goes for income, sense of communities, these are the first results of the co-working survey. So the questionnaire is still online. Many questions will be replaced by new questions. And if you like, you can take part in the survey, and you also can tweet it. So we have more people for the analysis. So